It started with a sound no one could explain. In the middle of a peaceful night on Earth, just after midnight, a strange hum filled the sky. It wasn't loud, but it wasn't natural either. People from different cities across the world heard it. Some thought it was coming from underground, others said it was coming from above the clouds. No one could see anything. No lights, no ships, no message. Just that strange sound. At the Global Science Station in Alaska, a young data analyst named Eric was the first to detect the anomaly. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a scientist. He was just a guy who monitored satellite readings and reported anything unusual. That night, he noticed something strange. Several military satellites stopped sending data. Then, one by one, others followed. Some simply vanished from orbit. No sign of explosion. No debris. Eric froze for a moment. His hands hovered over the keyboard. He checked the system twice, then a third time. The data was clear. Something was interfering with Earth satellites, and it was happening fast. He called his supervisor, but the line was dead. Then the power went out. Across the world, military forces were mobilized. Fighter jets scrambled. Naval ships locked targets in the sky, even though no one knew what to shoot at. The governments told the public it was just a system malfunction. But Eric knew better. Something was here. 20-4 hours later, the truth arrived. A beam of light tore through the clouds above Tokyo and created a hole in the sky, like someone ripping paper. From it, a giant black object came through. It was not a spaceship in the way humans imagined. It looked like a floating mountain, dark and silent. No lights, no engines, no sound, but it moved. Slowly it drifted across the city. People ran. Some tried to record it. All aircraft were ordered to stay away. When Japan tried to fire missiles at it, the weapons exploded mid-air, far from the object. No shield was visible, but nothing could touch it. 2 days later, similar objects appeared over other cities: New York, Cairo, London, and Rio. They didn't attack. They didn't speak. They just hovered. World leaders demanded answers, but nothing came. Scientists believed they were waiting. For what no one knew, Eric was evacuated to a secure underground base along with other analysts. The military had one question: were these things intelligent? A week passed. The objects remained silent. Then, something changed. In a quiet part of northern Canada, near the Arctic Circle, a team of soldiers found something in the snow. It was not large, about the size of a human. It was breathing. And it wasn't human. The creature was taken to a secure lab for study. Eric, because of his data link to the satellite failure, was placed on the research team. He wasn't supposed to be there. But his report had been so accurate, the commander wanted him close. The creature looked female, tall, thin, with silver skin that shimmered in the light. Her eyes were fully black, no whites. Her fingers were long, with 6 on each hand. She didn't speak, but she watched. The scientists ran dozens of tests. No response, no aggression, no language. Eric couldn't stop looking at her. He felt strange, like something deep inside him was being watched back. Then he had an idea. He borrowed a handheld DNA scanner from the lab normally used to match human samples. Just out of curiosity, he scanned her. The scanner beeped. At first, he thought it was broken. He tried again. Same result. A partial DNA match, not just human, but a match to someone on Earth. The screen showed a number. A code. Eric's code. He backed away from the table, heart pounding. The alien opened her eyes wide. For the first time, she moved. She pointed at Eric. Then she whispered in perfect English, "You're not ready for what's coming." Eric didn't sleep that night. After hearing those words, "You're not ready for what's coming," his mind wouldn't stop racing. How did she speak English so perfectly? How did the scanner show a DNA match? Was she connected to him? Somehow? Or was it a trick? The lab was locked down. Guards were placed outside every exit. Scientists tried to ask the alien more questions, but she didn't speak again. She just watched them. Watched Eric. Eric asked to speak with the head scientist. Dr. Rias, a strict and logical man, didn't like questions, especially from someone without a PhD. But Eric showed him the scanner results. Dr. Reyes frowned and took the device from him. He scanned her again using a clean unit. The same result appeared, 43% DNA. Match. Impossible. No human had ever shown a result that close, not even between siblings. Dr. Reyes said nothing for a moment. Then he told the guards to increase security. No one in or out. Not even Eric. Eric was sent back to his bunk under armed escort. But the look on Rias's face told him something was wrong. Very wrong. The next morning, everything changed. The alien was gone. No one saw her leave. No cameras worked that night. The guards didn't remember anything. One of them was found sleeping on the floor. The other one was staring at the wall, repeating the same words. She's not alone. She's not alone. An emergency meeting was held underground. Soldiers, scientists, and government agents argued with each other. Who let her out? Was she rescued? Did someone inside help her? Eric tried to speak up, but no one listened to him now. He was just a data guy again. So he decided to do something dangerous. He left the meeting and sneaked back to the lab. Most of the rooms were shut off, but he had memorized the security codes. Inside the lab, he went to the place where she had been kept. It was dark and cold. The lights flickered. Then he saw something. A symbol had been burned into the metal wall. It wasn't writing. It looked like a star system. 3 circles, connected by lines, with a 4th one floating outside. He took a picture and ran it through the satellite maps. Nothing matched. He kept searching. Then he remembered something. When he was scanning failed satellites, he'd noticed a strange energy signal around one of them. It had looked like interference, but now, looking closer, it had the same 3-circle pattern. Inside the wave, he checked the satellite's last position. It was near a small forest in Greenland, a place no one lived. A place where no human signal should have gone. He printed the coordinates and tried to report them to command. But when he returned to the meeting room, it was empty. Lights were off. Chairs knocked over. A screen was blinking with red text. Lockdown initiated. Biohazard breach. Seal all levels. Eric felt his stomach turn cold. He rushed to the elevator, but the power was cut. He ran to the stairwell. As he climbed, the alarms grew louder. Then he heard something worse than the alarm. Screaming. Gunshots. Something moving fast in the halls above. Eric ducked behind a wall. Shadows passed in the distance, tall, fast, not human. He waited, held his breath. Then, silence. When he reached the surface, the snow was falling heavily. The air was thin. He could barely see. But in the distance, something glowed. Blue light, pulsing slowly from the forest, the same direction as the satellite signal. He walked toward it. He didn't know. Just that it was calling him. And when he reached the edge of the trees, he saw her again, the alien girl. Standing in front of a large stone structure, half buried in snow, she looked at him. Then pointed to the sky, above them, through the storm clouds. A second object had appeared, smaller than the first, but faster. It was coming toward them. Fast. Too fast. And something about it felt different. It wasn't here to observe. It was here to hunt. The sky opened like it had before, quietly. Without warning, the smaller object dropped from the clouds like a falling knife, spinning fast and glowing red at the edges. Eric had no words. He had never seen anything move like that. It didn't float. It didn't hover. It hunted. The alien girl didn't move. She just watched it fall. Eric turned to her. What is that? She looked at him. Her voice was calm. Your enemy. The object struck the ground a few hundred meters away. The earth shook. Snow exploded into the air. Trees snapped like twigs. A deep humming filled the forest. Eric wanted to run, but his legs wouldn't move. The alien girl walked forward toward the crash. Her silver skin glowed faintly, and symbols appeared along her arms, symbols like the one burned into the lab wall. He followed her. He didn't know why. Fear mixed with curiosity. Something deep inside told him this moment mattered. As they reached the crash site, the red glow faded. What remained was a strange machine, part metal, part something else. It looked alive. Its shape kept shifting, like it hadn't decided what to be. From its center, a figure rose. Tall, thin, covered in black plates that looked like armor, but moved like skin. Its face was empty, no eyes, no mouth. Just a smooth black surface. It stepped toward them. Eric raised his hands. Instinctively, the alien girl stepped in front of him. The creature stopped, then tilted its head. The girl raised one hand. A low sound came from her throat, like a warning. The creature responded with a pulse of red light from its chest. Eric felt it in his bones, like someone trying to push inside his mind. He collapsed to his knees. Then it ended. The creature spoke, but not with words. It sent images. Images straight into Eric's head. Fire, ruins, dead cities. He saw Earth burning. Not from war, but from harvesting. Machines ripping the planet apart. Not for land, not for power. For DNA. Then he saw something worse. He saw humans inside tubes, connected to wires. And above them, strange beings feeding off the information in their genes, stealing their memory, copying their form. And in the middle of it all, he saw her, the alien girl, standing alone, surrounded by them. Then the vision ended. Eric gasped and opened his eyes. The creature was gone. Vanished. No sound. No trace. He looked at the girl. What was that? She didn't answer at first. Then she said quietly, a scout, one of the first. They send them to test your kind, to see if you're weak. Eric wiped sweat from his face. Why show me that? Why now? She looked up at the sky. Because they're coming. All of them. Eric shook his head. Why Earth? Why now? We didn't do anything. She turned toward him. You have something no one else has. Variation, chaos, mutation. Your DNA is unstable but powerful. They want it. Eric stared at her. But why me? Why did the scanner match me to you? The girl's expression didn't change, but her voice dropped. Because you're not fully human. The words hit him like ice. What? You carry a seed. A trace of something ancient, buried in your blood long ago. My kind left it here, during the first cycle. Before the fall. Eric stepped back. You're saying, your people made us? No, she said. We saved you. A deep rumble shook the earth again. Far behind them, near the edge of the forest, a second red object crashed into the ground. Then another. Then another. She turned to Eric. They know I'm here, and they know about you. He looked around, panic rising. What do we do? She looked back at the stone structure hidden in snow, then touched a panel at its side. It opened, revealing stairs leading into the earth. She looked at him one last time. If you want to survive, follow me. Then she disappeared into the dark, and Eric had to decide, run from what's coming, or go deeper into the mystery. Eric hesitated for only a second. The world was falling apart above him, but the only way forward seemed to be into the dark. The alien girl had disappeared into the stone structure, and if he didn't follow her, he might never know what was really going on. He couldn't just stand there while Earth burned. Above him, he ran toward the entrance. The stone door slid shut behind him with a low, grinding sound, locking them both in. A cool, stale air greeted him, and the light from his flashlight barely cut through the darkness. The staircase spiraled downward, twisting deeper into the earth. With each step, the ground seemed to vibrate more. A few moments passed in silence before the girl's voice echoed from ahead. "Stay close," Eric sped up. He wasn't sure what to expect. More machines? Another alien? A weapon? But the further they went, the stranger it felt. The walls weren't just stone. They shimmered, almost like they were alive. There were symbols carved into the walls, glowing faintly, shifting every time he looked away. He reached the bottom, and the cold air intensified. They were deep below the surface now. The alien girl stood in front of a massive door. It was unlike anything Eric had seen before. No handles, no visible way to open it. It looked ancient, more like a monument than a door. She turned to him. "Behind this door is the truth, the answers you need." "How do you know?" Eric asked. Her eyes locked on his. "Because I've seen it before." She raised her hand, and as she did, the symbols on the door flickered. Slowly, the door groaned, as though waking from a long sleep. Then, with a sound like shifting rocks, the door opened. What lay beyond was not a room, but a vast space, an underground chamber that stretched farther than Eric could see. The walls were lined with strange machines, ones he had never seen before, humming softly. There were tubes filled with liquid, and inside, bodies suspended in stasis. Humans. But they weren't ordinary humans. Eric took a step back. "What is this place?" "History," the alien girl said quietly. "The origin of your kind." He stared at the tubes. The people inside were frozen in time, unmoving, lifeless. But as he moved closer to one of them, he noticed something. They weren't just human. They had something different about them, faint markings on their skin, glowing faintly like the symbols he had seen earlier. "What are they?" he asked. "They're not just humans," she replied. "They were modified, created in a way. My people changed you." Eric felt a chill run through him. "You mean we weren't born the way we think we were?" "No," she said. "You were part of a test, an experiment. We saved your species from extinction. We helped you evolve, but some of you carried a hidden gene, a trace of something ancient." She stepped closer to one of the tubes and placed her hand against it. The figure inside twitched slightly. Eric's heart raced. "What's happening?" "They're waking up," she whispered. "All of them." Suddenly, a loud noise echoed throughout the chamber like metal scraping against metal. Eric turned quickly, his breath caught in his throat. From one of the machines, a figure stepped out. It was a human, but not fully human. The man's skin was pale, almost glowing. His eyes were wide, shining with a faint light. He took a slow step toward them. Then another. Eric stumbled back, unsure whether to run or stay. The alien girl stepped forward. "He's one of them." "One of the first," she said, almost to herself. The man's head snapped toward them, his eyes focusing on Eric. A strange smile crossed his lips. "Eric," he said, his voice hollow, but somehow familiar. "You've come at last." Eric's legs buckled. He couldn't breathe. The man stepped closer, his hand reaching out. "You're not like them, Eric," he said softly. "You were always meant to be different. They tried to hide it. But your blood... carries the key." The alien girl stepped in front of Eric, her voice cold. "Stay back, Arel," she warned. Arel paused, looking at her, then at Eric. "You don't understand. You're not ready. But you will be." Then Without another word, he turned and disappeared into the shadows of the chamber. Eric's heart pounded in his chest. He wanted to run, to scream, to ask 1,000 questions. But all he could do was stand there, staring at the open space. In front of him. What does he mean? He asked, his voice shaky. The alien girl didn't answer right away. Everything is connected, she finally said. Your blood, his blood. And what's coming? It's all tied together. Eric shook his head. But I don't understand. What's coming? The alien girl turned toward the far wall, where a screen blinked on, showing an image of Earth. The surface was changing. Cracks appeared, and in the center of those cracks, something was rising. Something large. Something that was starting to tear the planet apart. It's already started, she said quietly. The harvest has begun. Eric's heart hammered in his chest as he stared at the screen. The cracks spreading across Earth's surface were growing faster, deeper. Something was coming from beneath, tearing the planet apart piece by piece. What is that? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The alien girl didn't answer immediately. Her eyes remained fixed on the screen, and for the first time, Eric saw something like fear in her gaze. It wasn't something he had expected from someone who had seen so much. But in that moment, he knew this was bigger than anything they had faced before. It's not just a harvest, she said finally, her voice tight. They're coming for the source. The source of what? Eric asked, his voice trembling. He didn't want to know the answer, but he had to ask. She turned toward him, her face serious. Your species. The humans. The ones who carry the bloodline. Your DNA, it's a key. It's what they need to complete their mission. Complete their mission? Eric echoed. What mission? They were sent to Earth long ago, before your history began. They planted the first seeds, your ancestors, but the seeds were unstable. So they left. They thought you would die out. But you didn't. You adapted, evolved. But now they've returned. They want to finish what they started. Eric shook his head in disbelief. You're saying they created us? She nodded slowly. Yes, but they didn't expect you to survive. They didn't expect your bloodlines to carry the key they need. But why us? Why Earth? Because Earth holds something no other planet has, something that they can't get anywhere else. Your world is a nexus, a place where different timelines, different bloodlines intersect. Eric didn't understand. A nexus? What does that mean? What do they want with our blood? She walked toward one of the glowing tubes and pressed her hand against it. The figure inside stirred, its eyes opening slowly. It was one of the modified humans, like the ones Eric had seen earlier. They want to return, she said softly. To use your DNA to unlock a way back to their world, to make their bodies whole again. Eric's mind raced. But why didn't you stop them before? Why didn't you help us earlier? I tried, she replied, her voice pained. But I couldn't. We didn't know how far they had gone, how much they had changed. I was one of the few who remembered. But my people, we were scattered, hunted. We couldn't stop it. A deep rumble shook the ground beneath their feet. The chamber walls trembled as if something enormous was moving beneath them. Eric's stomach churned. They're closer than I thought, she muttered. We have to leave. Now. Where? Are we going? Eric asked, grabbing her arm as she turned toward the door. There's a place deep beneath this structure, she said, pointing toward a tunnel in the distance. A hidden chamber. It holds the answer. The weapon that can stop them. But we have to reach it before they do. Another tremor rattled the walls, and this time the lights flickered, dimming. I don't understand, Eric said, struggling to keep up as she moved quickly down the corridor. How can we stop them? What weapon? She glanced at him, her face serious. The weapon is inside you, Eric. You're the key. They didn't just leave behind a bloodline, they left behind a fragment of their technology inside the first humans. It's been passed down through generations. You have it inside you, whether you know it or not. Eric froze. Inside me? She nodded. It's in your DNA, Eric. It's why you were able to match to me. It's why you're the only one who can activate it. He could hardly breathe as the truth settled over him. He wasn't just a regular person. He was part of something bigger, something ancient. Suddenly, the lights went out completely. The room fell into darkness. We don't have much time, she said, grabbing his hand and pulling him forward. Stay close, they're here. Eric's pulse raced as they hurried down the dark corridor. In the distance, he heard sounds, footsteps, metallic scraping, like something hunting them. They're coming, the alien girl said. They know where we are. They reached the hidden chamber after what felt like hours, but Eric could feel the urgency rising inside him. He didn't know what was going to happen, but he knew one thing for sure: he had to trust her. The door to the chamber slid open, revealing a room filled with ancient technology, glowing softly in the darkness. In the center of the room stood a pedestal with a strange, glowing object resting on top. Eric stepped forward, his heart pounding. This is it, the alien girl said. This is what we need to stop them. Eric didn't know what it was, but something inside him urged him to touch it. He reached out as his fingers made contact with the object. A sharp pain shot through his body. His vision blurred. A bright light surrounded him, and he felt something awakening deep within him, something powerful, something ancient. The alien girl stepped back, her eyes wide with fear. It's starting, she whispered. Eric fell too. His knees as the pain intensified. He could hear voices, strange voices, whispering inside his mind. He saw flashes of another world, another time. And he understood for a brief moment the terrible truth. The weapon was inside him. The answer was inside him. And now the real battle was about to begin. Asterisk. The pain surged through Eric's body like a wave of fire. His mind was caught between two worlds, his own and another, strange and distant. He saw flashes of cities unlike any he had ever known, vast structures made of materials he couldn't recognize. He saw beings, not like the aliens he had met, but something different, taller, more advanced. Their eyes were glowing, and they watched him with curiosity and fear. Eric, the alien girl's voice cut through the chaos. Focus. Don't let it control you. Her words barely registered as the visions continued. The strange whispers in his mind grew louder. He could hear them now, full sentences, not just echoes. They spoke in a language he couldn't understand, yet somehow he knew their meaning. The key is the bloodline, the last generation. The words repeated over and over, the sound echoing in his mind like a drumbeat. And then, as quickly as it began, the pain stopped. The light faded and Eric collapsed to the cold floor of the chamber. His breath came in sharp gasps. He looked up, his vision still blurry. The alien girl was kneeling beside him, her hand resting on his shoulder. "You're okay?" she asked, her voice soft but urgent. Eric took a deep breath, trying to steady himself. What was that?" She hesitated before answering. "That was the weapon inside you. The DNA fragment they left behind. It's waking up. You're starting to remember." He stared at her, trying to understand. "Remember? What do you mean?" "You're not just a human, Eric. You're part of the last generation they tried to create. You carried the blood of both humans and them, our ancestors, the ones who left their mark on your species. You have the power to stop them, but it's not easy." Eric shook his head, trying to process everything. "I don't know what's happening to me. I feel different. I don't even know what I saw." She helped him to his feet. "What you saw were the memories of the beings who created you. The ones who left their technology buried deep inside your blood. It's waking up, and it's taking control. You're unlocking their power. He took a step back, trying to clear his head. But why me? Why am I the one? Because you're the only one left with the full bloodline. The others, those in the tubes, the modified humans, don't have it. You're the key to everything. Suddenly, a loud explosion echoed through the structure. The walls shook violently, and a low hum filled the air, growing louder by the second. "They're here," the alien girl said, her eyes flashing with urgency. "We have no more time. You have to activate the weapon now." Eric's mind was still racing, his thoughts a tangled mess. Activate the weapon? How? She grabbed his hand and pulled him toward a console on the far side of the chamber. "This is it, the last piece. You need to use the energy inside you to power it. Your DNA has everything we need to stop the invasion." The console was covered in symbols, but the moment Eric's hand touched it, the symbols glowed brightly. His body surged with energy again, this time with a sense of purpose. The images and voices returned, but this time they felt clearer. The whispers were guiding him, telling him exactly what to do. He raised his hand and placed it on a large circular pad in the center of the console. A blast of light erupted from the pad and the room shook violently. "You're activating it," the alien girl said, her voice filled with awe. "Hold on. It's working." Eric gritted his teeth, trying to focus. The light from the console intensified, surrounding him completely. He could feel the power coursing through him, growing stronger with every second. It was as if his entire body was merging with the technology, becoming part of it. And then, the voices stopped. Eric blinked, and suddenly, everything was quiet. The light from the console dimmed, and the room fell into a tense stillness. The alien girl was staring at him, wide-eyed. "You did it. You activated it." But as she spoke, the ground trembled again. The explosion from earlier had been nothing compared to what was coming now. Eric could feel it, their enemies were close. Too close, the alien girl turned and ran toward the far door, motioning for Eric to follow. "We need to move now." Eric's legs felt weak, but he forced himself to follow her. As they sprinted through the corridors, the ground continued to shake. The walls were cracking and the lights flickered violently. Something was coming for them, something far worse than they had faced before. When they reached the surface, the scene before them was worse than anything Eric could have imagined. The sky was filled with smoke and fire. The air was thick with dust, and the ground was shaking beneath their feet. Massive ships bigger than anything Eric had ever seen hovered above the ground. Their engines whirring ominously. The alien girl stopped and turned to face him. "This is it, the final battle." Eric looked around, his heart pounding. "But what do we do now?" She looked at him, her eyes serious. You use the weapon. You're the only one who can stop them. You have the power to end it all." Eric swallowed hard. He was scared, more scared than he had ever been in his life. But he knew one thing: he couldn't run. He had to face whatever was coming. He had to use the weapon inside him, or everything he knew would be lost. With a deep breath, he stepped forward. The fate of Earth rested on his shoulders. Asterisk. Eric's heart raced as he stepped forward, every nerve in his body on fire with the power that surged through him. The alien girl stood by his side, watching him with a mixture of hope and urgency. The enemy ships hovered above the battlefield, their massive frames blotting out the sun. From them, strange robotic soldiers began to descend, their mechanical limbs clanging against the cracked earth. Their eyes glowed red, and they moved with purpose. Eric could feel their cold, calculating presence even from a distance. They had come to finish what they started. The alien girl looked up at the sky, her face grim. "They're here. They won't stop until they've taken everything." Eric clenched his fists, the energy inside him pulsing, growing stronger. He could feel the weapon inside him, its power ready to be unleashed. He had the ability to stop them, but he wasn't sure how. All he knew was that the bloodline, the technology, the weapon, it was all inside him now. You have to activate it, the alien girl said, her voice firm. Do what you did before. Trust yourself. Eric nodded, trying to calm his racing thoughts. He closed his eyes and focused, letting the power flow through him, feeling it connect with the device inside him. The voices returned, but this time, they weren't whispers. They were clear, instructing him, guiding him. Focus. Channel the energy. Use it to break their hold. Eric took a deep breath, and his body glowed with light. He raised his hand, and the ground beneath him vibrated. The ships above began to tremble, their engines sputtering. The alien girl stepped back, watching him intently. Now, Eric, do it now. He didn't hesitate. With a surge of willpower, he sent the energy outward, focusing it on the ships in the sky. The light from his hand exploded, shooting up into the air like a beam of pure power. It struck the first ship, and the metal trembled, warping and twisting under the force. The ship let out a scream, a sound like metal being torn apart. The other ships responded in kind, their engines stalling as the energy from Eric's hand spread through them. It was as if the entire fleet was being pulled apart from the inside. The robotic soldiers stopped in their tracks, their movements stuttering like machines suddenly losing control. One by one, they fell to the ground, their bodies disintegrating. In a burst of light, the alien invasion was crumbling before Eric's eyes, but the battle wasn't over. The largest ship, the one that had been hovering above the others, pulsed with dark energy. It was the command ship, the heart of the invasion. A huge figure emerged from it, larger than anything Eric had seen. It was an alien, but unlike the others. This one was different. Its eyes glowed with a deep red fury, and its body radiated. Power. It stepped toward Eric, its every movement full of purpose and anger. Eric could feel the weight of its presence, like it was the source of the invasion itself. You think you can stop us? The alien boomed, its voice like thunder. You are nothing. A mere human, filled with a leftover power. You will never be enough. Eric stood his ground, his hands glowing with the energy he had unleashed. I'm not just human. I'm more than that. With a roar, the alien charged, its fists raised. Eric knew this was his moment. The weapon inside him was at full power, but it wasn't just about strength. It was about understanding. He had to focus, use everything he had learned, everything the voices had taught him. The alien swung at him, but Eric dodged, sending a blast of energy toward the creature. It hit, but the alien absorbed it, its body glowing brighter with each strike. Eric felt himself weakening, but he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. You have the key, Eric. You are the key. The voice in his head was louder now, clearer. The energy within him surged again, and he realized what he had to do. He wasn't just fighting the alien. He was fighting the power that had been left behind, the remnants of an ancient species that had tried to control Earth for their own purposes. Eric raised his hands and channeled everything, the power, the bloodline, the technology into a single, concentrated burst. The light exploded from him, tearing through the alien's body. It screamed in agony, its form flickering like a dying flame. With a final, deafening roar, the alien's body disintegrated, its power breaking apart into nothingness. Silence fell over the battlefield. Eric stood there, panting, his body trembling from the energy he had released. The ships above had all fallen, their engines sputtering out, their forms falling to the earth like broken giants. The robotic soldiers were gone, disintegrated into the air. The alien girl stepped forward, her face filled with awe. You did it. You stopped them. Eric looked around, his breath heavy. The world was still standing. Earth was safe for now. He had done it. He had used the weapon within him to stop the invasion. But as he looked up at the sky, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. The alien threat was over, but the knowledge of what they had left behind the bloodlines, the technology, the weapon was still inside him. The alien girl looked at him one last time, her voice soft. The war is over. But there is much more to learn, much more to do. Eric nodded slowly, understanding. He had saved the world, but he also carried the burden of what was to come. Let's figure it out, he said. And together they turned toward the horizon, ready for whatever came next.